few months ago, I read a book by Raniero Cantalamessa, the preacher to the papal household, and it has haunted me ever since. He was talking about the new evangelization. He brought up the parable of the lost sheep, how Jesus cared so much about the one sheep that we were to leave the other 99 behind to go find it. But, he says, we have gotten the whole passage wrong today. In our world, the ones who are lost, who have left the church and gone astray, are the 99, and yet we remain in the church, spending all of our time attending to the needs of the one. The 99 have left, and we're stuck focusing on the one that remains. I'm just going to let you sit with that for a second. Let it sink in. That, folks, is how you come to hold the position of preacher to the papal household for more than 40 years. That is a prophetic voice, an indicting voice, a you better reevaluate your life and get with the values of God voice. Think about how most of our local churches are run, what they spend their time and money on. We have faith formation and OCIA. We host rosaries and holy hours. We might even have potlucks and theology on tap get-togethers to build fellowship. All good things, wonderful things in fact, things that we should keep doing for the one sheep that remains in the church so that it doesn't go the way of the 99. But what about the 99? What about the literally millions of people that have either left the church or never knew anything of it? If there is an evangelical effort in our parish, it is rare and it is secondary in focus to all the other liturgical, educational, and social plans we have. It is the exception to what the church does, not its driving force. I challenge you to look at nearly any Catholic Church website and see how many ministries are focused inward to develop the people we already have, and how many are focused outward on reaching new people. I can almost guarantee you that you won't find a ministry dedicated to evangelization, a group that meets regularly with a missionary spirit, a sense of urgency for collecting the lost sheep. I said in a video last fall that people are leaving the church and they're not coming back, that we need to actively go to get them if we want them back, but I failed to say how to do that. The first video was simply about waking us up to the issue, but now I want to take the next step. What can we do to bring them back? How do we find the lost sheep? I'd like to suggest 4 things. First, beginning close to home, we have to begin putting time and effort into programming dedicated to people beyond our base. Rosaries and holy hours are great, and for a certain type of person, may be the exact thing they need to attract them to the church. But the vast majority of people who know nothing about Jesus and his church are not going to show up to a prayer service at a church they've never been to, where they don't know anyone. If we want people to come to us, we have to appeal to where they are now, not where we want them to be someday. What are they looking for? What are they concerned about? What is missing in their lives? For me, this takes us in 2 directions. On the one hand, our world is isolated and lonely. We lack third places, places that aren't work and home, and many people, especially young people, are for whatever reason very bad at making new friends. And so, let's provide them that opportunity. It doesn't always have to be explicitly religious or serious. What about a regular trivia night for young adults? What about family dinner and movie nights once a month? If you want to go even bigger, look to what the Diocese of Cleveland has done for the past 2 decades. They put on a summer music festival that attracts thousands of people, many of them non-Catholics. Is it Mass? Is it teaching doctrine? No. But it's casting the net far beyond the pews and getting people on campus that would otherwise never even know the church existed. But it doesn't just have to be fun and games either. If we think like the people we're trying to reach, we know that many of them have deep spiritual questions, they just don't trust the institution. So, lean into those questions. Don't just have some generic informational session for people who might be interested in the church. Put on an event about how to manage stress, grieve the loss of a loved one, find your calling in life, grow in your marriage, deal with some major social issue of the day. Again, it doesn't have to be strictly about Jesus or the gospel to speak to the deep questions of people's lives. What are they thinking about? What are they worried about? What are they hoping for? If you can get to the heart of what's driving the people around you, you can shape the program to actually be relevant to their lives. And then, you can talk to them about Jesus. You can show them the answer to all their questions. But only if you know what questions they're asking in the first place. So first thing, if we want people to come to our churches, we have to create programming that is actually meant for them, the lost and the seekers. Great. But we can't expect the majority of people to come to us. We've also got to get away from the comfort of our churches and be present enough to encounter people in the wild. As a Franciscan and a priest, I'm at a bit of an advantage here as I wear distinctive clothing that just begs people to talk to me. And so I wear it everywhere. to the grocery store, out to restaurants, in my walks downtown, even to the bar for a drink with friends. Now, I know that this is a bit of a hot topic for some, and I don't want to kick the hornet's nest too hard here, but please, brother priests and religious, sisters, I'm begging you, wear your religious clothing in public. I understand the value of simplicity in clothing and avoiding undue recognition or praise, but I also know that our world is in desperate need of visible signs of faith. People need to know that there are priests and religious out there willing to come to them. Now, for the rest of you who aren't quite as recognizable, there is still a need to be present. You can't encounter or witness to someone if you're not present where they are, which means we need to be out in the world in a variety of places. Take a look at your life for a second and ask, how diverse is your routine? Do you go to the same places and talk to the same people every day? While consistency can be good, it also misses the opportunity to encounter a lot of people. Ask yourself, is there a place, a type of person, a segment of the population that you never have interactions with? If this is the case, how can you expect to evangelize them? We may not be missionaries to foreign lands, but we can be missionaries to different restaurants, different sides of town, different coworkers we never talk with. Step out of your comfort zone so you can actually meet someone new. And then don't just meet with them casually, don't just be seen by them. The third thing we must do is build relationships with them. Learn people's names, have conversations with strangers. I don't mean walking up to random people and asking them if they know about Jesus. I literally mean just have a conversation with them. A great liability we face in evangelization is that so many people have at least some understanding of Jesus and his church. It's just been a negative one. If we come on too strong, trying to convert people at hello, we're going to be shut down immediately. And so it has to start with making a friend, finding a common interest, getting to know one another, and building trust. People don't listen to strangers, they listen to friends. And so focus on that. Will this be a quick process? Probably not. But conversion isn't quick. As easy as it would be just to walk up to people, tell them about Jesus, and then move on to the next person, we know that this is not going to be very effective. Evangelization is all about patience and persistence. It's about forming a relationship and then walking with someone in that relationship, addressing their doubts, comforting their sorrows, building up their character, modeling the way of Christ in our lives by loving them unconditionally. It's about taking the time to actually care for the person in front of us and want what's best for them. A problem that so many people fall into when evangelizing is that they treat it like they're making a sell. It's about finding a potential customer and then getting them to buy as quickly as possible, regardless of whether they need or understand the product, so that we can move on to the next person. That's not how evangelization works. Evangelization is in it for the long haul, because evangelization is more than convincing someone to believe what we believe. It's welcoming someone into our family, which is not something that happens on its own, but requires the fourth step: courage to invite and even challenge. While it's true that we don't want to go in guns blazing, proselytizing people with no care for who they are, we also know that what we're doing here is a matter of life and death. The reason that any of this matters isn't because we need more people to pay into the collection to increase our political capital. This isn't growth to maintain our institution. We evangelize because we believe more strongly than we believe anything else that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, that all other ways lead to death. We must always respect people's conscience and freedom of will, never forcing them to believe anything that they cannot accept, absolutely. But we also can't be worried about offending or being rejected. The stakes are too high to let a fear of being impolite get in the way. At some point, we're going to have to ask the question. At some point, we are going to have to take the risk and stake our claim. We feel that what we have and what we know, really who we have and who we know, is the only way to life, and that the life that they're leading will not bear fruit in eternity. Again, I'm not suggesting that we open with this. You don't just walk up to someone and tell them they're going to hell. No, we don't do that. Not because we're worried about being rude, so much as it's not going to be effective. But we do need to have that attitude. We do need to know it in our hearts, even if we don't say it in so many words, that we are in the business of caring for immortal souls. We are in the business of helping people see that the world, despite its frills and thrills, cannot save. It will lead to death, just like everything else. The line, "preach the gospel at all times, when necessary use words," is a good reminder to witness through our actions, but it can also keep us from the very important, very necessary task of teaching the gospel in no uncertain terms, of using Jesus' name, of directly inviting another to leave the way of the world for another life? Do you have the boldness to invite someone to a new way of life? Do we have the courage to be honest with a friend and tell them that what they're doing will not bring them true happiness? I hope so, because truly, their lives depend on it. And isn't that sort of the point of the parable in the first place? When Jesus told the disciples to leave the 99 behind to go after the one, he was emphasizing the fact that every sheep that is lost is precious to him, that every sheep was worth our time and energy, that every sheep was worth the risk of danger and rejection, and if we don't go after them, they might be lost forever. All the more desperate now when it's the 99 that are lost. If there were not alarm bells ringing in your head already, I hope that my words have set them off, and if you were already panicking because you didn't know what you could do, these 4 things should give you a place to start. Offer programming that attracts. Be present to the world. Develop relationships, and be bold enough to invite. You can do this, and hear me when I say, we are counting on you to.